I watch my sister-in-law's face drain of color as the patent examiner slides the form across the table. Ms. Chen, will need detailed documentation of your specific contributions to the neural interface technology described in this application. Lab notebooks, code commits, experimental data, anything that demonstrates your role in the invention's conception and reduction to practice. Jessica's mouth opens and closes like a fish drowning in air. Her eyes dart to me, then to my brother Marcus sitting beside her, then back to the examiner. I keep my expression pleasant, interested, as though I'm just as curious as everyone else to see what she'll produce. Because I know exactly what she'll produce. Nothing. The examiner, a tired-looking woman named Patricia Holbrook, who spent 30 years evaluating patent applications, adjusts her glasses and continues. This is standard procedure when co-inventors are listed. Each inventor must have contributed to at least one claim. We need to establish the nature and extent of those contributions. Jessica's voice cracks. She clears her throat. I don't understand. We filed jointly. Isn't that enough? No. Patricia's tone is patient but firm. Joint inventorship requires that each named inventor contributed to the conception of the invention. Under 35 U.S.C. Sector 116, we must verify this. Fraudulent inventorship claims can invalidate a patent entirely. I watch Jessica's hand tremble as she reaches for her water glass. Marcus puts his hand on her arm, steadying her, and shoots me a look that's half confusion, half accusation. Emma, he says, surely you can vouch for Jessica's contributions? I meet my brother's eyes, the same dark brown as mine, the same shape, though his have always held a cruelty mine never did. At least not until I died. I can only speak to what I witnessed, I say softly, and what I can document. The first time through, this meeting never happened. The first time through, I was too naive, too trusting, too desperate to keep the peace with my family. When Marcus and my mother cornered me 3 days before the patent filing deadline, when they told me that Jessica deserved to be listed as co-inventor, when they said it was only fair since she was family now, since she'd supported me through the research, I caved. I told myself it didn't matter, that the invention was what mattered, that I could share the credit. I was 26 years old, fresh out of my PhD, and I'd just developed a breakthrough in brain-computer interface technology that could restore movement to paralyzed patients. The kind of technology that would change lives. The kind that was worth billions. And I signed Jessica's name next to mine on the patent application without a second thought. That decision killed me. Not immediately. The death took 3 years of watching Jessica become the face of our invention. 3 years of her giving TED Talks about our breakthrough, while I stayed in the lab refining the technology. 3 years of investors and journalists gravitating toward her polished smile and designer suits while I faded into the background in my hoodie and jeans. 3 years of watching my mother beam with pride at Jessica, the daughter-in-law who accomplished so much, while barely acknowledging me. 3 years of Marcus telling me I should be grateful Jessica was carrying the load of public relations so I could focus on the science. The actual death came on a Tuesday. I discovered that Jessica had been meeting with a rival company, shopping our technology to the highest bidder, not licensing it, selling the core patents outright, cutting me out of the deal entirely. When I confronted her, when I threatened to expose her, she looked at me with such cold calculation that I finally understood. She'd never been family. She'd been a predator, and I'd been prey too stupid to run. The next morning, I died in a car accident on my way to meet with a lawyer. Single vehicle collision, they said. Rainy roads, probably fell asleep at the wheel. I was exhausted. I'd been up all night securing backups of my research data, preparing for the legal battle ahead. They said it was instantaneous. I don't remember pain, just the horrible clarity that comes in the second before impact. She did this. And then I woke up. 5 years earlier. 21 years old, first year of my PhD program, staring at the ceiling of my graduate school apartment, the morning light slanting through my window in a pattern I'd seen before. It took me 3 days to accept that it was real, that somehow, impossibly, I'd been given a second chance. This time, I wouldn't waste it. The next 5 years were different. Every choice I made with surgical precision. I still pursued the neural interface research. That was my passion, my purpose. But this time, I documented everything. Every experiment, every breakthrough, every late night in the lab. I kept meticulous records backing them up in multiple locations, both digital and physical. I dated and signed every page of my lab notebooks, had them witnessed by my advisor. I recorded voice memos describing my thought process as I worked through problems. I took time-stamped photos of whiteboards covered in equations. I saved every email, every draft, every scribbled napkin calculation. When Jessica started dating Marcus 2 years later, right on schedule, I was polite but distant. I didn't confide in her about my research. When she asked questions, I gave vague, generic answers. "You're being cold to Jessica," my mother complained. "She's going to be your sister-in-law. You should be closer." I just smiled and said I was focused on my work. When they got engaged, again, right on schedule, I gave a brief, impersonal toast at the engagement party and left early. My mother pulled me aside, her face pinched with disapproval. "Your brother is happy, Emma. The least you could do is try to be part of this family." "I am part of this family," I said quietly. "But I have a dissertation to finish." The truth was, I was building my case. Every moment I wasn't in the lab, I was learning patent law. I read every major case on inventorship disputes. I studied the requirements for documentation, the standards of proof, the ways fraudulent claims could be challenged. I joined online forums where patent attorneys discussed their cases. I attended lectures on intellectual property law. I made anonymous posts asking hypothetical questions about co-inventor disputes, gathering information from experts who had no idea they were helping me prepare for war. And I made sure I had allies this time. Dr. Sarah Chen, my PhD advisor, was a detail-oriented perfectionist who insisted on rigorous documentation. She was exactly the kind of witness I needed. I made sure to schedule regular meetings with her, during which I presented my progress and she signed off on my work. Every meeting was recorded in her calendar, every discussion summarized in follow-up emails. I cultivated a relationship with the head of the university's technology transfer office, making sure he was aware of my project's commercial potential from the early stages. I attended workshops on patenting university research. I asked questions, showed interest, made myself memorable. When I finally achieved the breakthrough, 6 months ahead of when I'd done it the first time, because I already knew which approaches wouldn't work, I had 18 months of ironclad documentation showing every step of the journey. And then I waited. Sure enough, 3 days before the patent filing deadline, Marcus and my mother showed up at my apartment. This time, I was ready. "Emma, we need to talk to you about something," Marcus said, settling onto my couch like he owned it. My mother perched on the edge of the armchair, her hands folded in her lap, her expression carefully neutral. "What's up?" I stayed standing, leaning against the kitchen counter, arms crossed. "Jessica has been such a support to you during your research," my mother began. "She's always asking about your work, trying to understand." "Actually, she hasn't," I interrupted. "We've barely discussed my research." My mother's eyes narrowed. "Don't be difficult, Emma. You know what I mean. She's been emotionally supportive. Family is important. And now that you're about to file this patent, we think Jessica should be listed as a co-inventor," Marcus cut in. "It's only fair." There it was. The exact same script as before, delivered with the same entitled casualness, as though they were asking me to pass the salt instead of demanding I commit fraud. "No," I said simply. Silence. My mother and Marcus stared at me like I'd started speaking in tongues. "What do you mean, no?" Marcus finally said. "I mean no. Jessica didn't contribute to the invention. She can't be listed as a co-inventor. That would be fraud." My mother's face flushed. "How dare you suggest—" "I'm not suggesting anything. I'm stating a fact. Patent law is very clear about inventorship requirements. Each inventor must have contributed to the conception of at least one claim. Jessica hasn't done that." "She's your sister-in-law," my mother hissed. "Family should support each other." "If Jessica wants to support me, she can do that without committing patent fraud." Marcus stood up, his face darkening. "You're being incredibly selfish, Emma. This invention could be worth millions. You can afford to share the credit." And there it was, the real reason. They'd already counted the money in their heads, already imagined the lifestyle, already decided that my work belonged to them. The credit isn't mine to share, I said. It belongs to whoever did the work. That's me. Just me. We're your family, my mother said, her voice taking on that particular wounded tone she used when she wanted me to feel guilty. After everything we've done for you, what have you done for me? The question came out sharper than I intended, years of resentment finally finding voice. You paid for half of undergrad before you decided that was enough support and I should take out loans for the rest. You forgot my graduation from MIT because Marcus's birthday party was the same week. You've visited me exactly twice in 5 years of grad school. So please tell me, what have you done for me that obligates me to commit fraud? My mother's mouth opened and closed. Marcus moved toward me, his hands clenched into fists. You ungrateful little... Get out, I said quietly. Both of you, get out of my apartment. Emma, now, or I'm calling security. They left. My mother paused at the door, turning back with tears in her eyes. Calculated tears, the kind she'd always been able to produce on demand. You're going to regret this, she said softly. Family is all you have in this world. Don't throw it away out of pride. It's not pride, I said. It's integrity, something you should look up. The door slammed. I stood in my apartment, breathing hard, feeling the weight of 5 years, or was it 10, of suppressed anger and betrayal flowing through me. Then I went back to work. I filed the patent application the next day, with my name alone listed as inventor. I braced myself for another confrontation, but it never came. Instead, there was silence. Marcus stopped returning my calls. My mother blocked my number. Fine, I'd paid the price for standing up to them before in the form of my life. This cold shoulder was nothing. 3 months later, Jessica filed her own patent application. I'd been expecting this. It was her nuclear option, the move she'd make when she realized she couldn't manipulate me into adding her name. She claimed to have independently developed similar neural interface technology, filing her own application with enough technical detail lifted from conversations with Marcus, who'd heard just enough from my mother to sound informed, to seem credible. It was a poison pill strategy. Even if her patent was eventually rejected, the existence of her application would complicate mine, potentially creating a priority dispute that could tie up the approval process for years. But I'd planned for this too. Within 24 hours of her filing, I submitted a formal declaration to the patent office, along with complete copies of my lab notebooks, dated and witnessed, showing the development of the technology from initial concept to reduction to practice. I included time-stamped code repositories, emails with my advisor, progress reports, everything. I also filed a complaint with the university's technology transfer office since my work had been conducted under university auspices and was therefore subject to university IP policies. I provided evidence that Jessica had received confidential information about my research through Marcus and was attempting to file a competing patent based on that misappropriated information. The university's attorneys were not amused. They suspended Jessica's application and launched an investigation. That's when things got ugly. Marcus showed up at my lab at 2 a.m. on a Thursday. The security guard called me before letting him up. I'd added Marcus to a watch list, flagging him as someone who shouldn't have unsupervised access to my workspace. I met him in the lobby. "You've destroyed us," he spat. The charming, easygoing brother I'd grown up with was gone. In his place was someone I barely recognized, face contorted with rage. The university is threatening to sue Jessica. She could face criminal charges for patent fraud. Our mother won't even look at me, all because you couldn't share. I couldn't commit fraud, I corrected. There's a difference. It's just a name on a piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything. It means everything. It determines who owns the intellectual property, who profits from it, who gets credit for the work. Jessica tried to steal my life's work, and you helped her. She's my wife. And I'm your sister, was. I guess I'm not even that anymore. He moved closer, looming over me. The security guard shifted, hand moving toward his radio. "You think you're so smart," Marcus said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You think you've won, but you're going to end up alone, Emma. No family, no one who cares about you, just you and your precious patent." Better alone than surrounded by thieves. He left. I went back to my lab and worked until dawn, trying to ignore the hollow feeling in my chest. Because the truth was, he wasn't entirely wrong. I was alone. I'd chosen my work over my family, my integrity over their approval, but I'd made that choice knowing what the alternative cost. I'd lived it. I'd died from it. This time, I'd survive. The patent office initially issued a non-final rejection of my application, citing Jessica's competing application as prior art. I'd been expecting this. It was standard procedure when there were potential priority disputes. I responded with a detailed declaration establishing my priority date, supported by my documented development timeline. I also submitted evidence of Jessica's fraud, including a forensic analysis showing that her application contained technical details that could only have come from my work, including a specific algorithm implementation that I'd never published but had discussed in an email with Marcus. The patent examiner reviewed my submission and rejected Jessica's application entirely, finding insufficient evidence that she'd actually reduced the invention to practice independently. That should have been the end of it. But then Jessica did something I hadn't anticipated. She formally petitioned the patent office to have herself added as a co-inventor to my application, claiming that she'd been wrongfully excluded and that she had in fact contributed to the invention's conception. It was a desperate move, but a clever one. If she could convince the patent office that she deserved co-inventor status, she'd be entitled to a share of any profits, regardless of the university's investigation or any other legal proceedings. And that's how we ended up here, in this conference room, with Patricia Holbrook asking Jessica to provide documentation of her contributions. Jessica's been silent for almost a full minute now, her face cycling through shades of red and white. Marcus keeps trying to catch my eye, his expression pleading, but I keep my gaze fixed on Patricia. Ms. Chen, Patricia prompts, do you have any documentation to provide? I don't understand, Jessica stammers. Emma and I worked together. We discussed the project constantly. I gave her ideas, feedback. Can you provide specific examples? Patricia's pen is poised over her notepad. For instance, which claims in the patent application did you contribute to conceiving? Jessica flips open the patent application, my patent application, and stares at it like it's written in hieroglyphics. I watch her eyes scan the dense technical language, the detailed descriptions of neural signal processing algorithms, the complex diagrams of interface architecture. She has no idea what any of it means. The general concept, she says finally. I helped Emma think through the broader implications. Conception in patent law requires contribution to the specific technical aspects of the invention, Patricia interrupts. General discussion or encouragement doesn't qualify. Can you point to a specific technical element that you contributed to developing? Silence. Perhaps, Patricia continues, her tone gentling slightly, you could describe your understanding of how the invention works in your own words? Jessica opens her mouth, closes it. Her hands are shaking visibly now. It's a neural interface, she manages. It helps paralyzed people move again. Can you explain the mechanism? The brain signals. They go through the interface and then to the muscles. Patricia glances at me. I keep my expression neutral, but inside I'm singing. Because in the first timeline, this conversation never happened. I'd already listed Jessica as co-inventor. There was no reason to question her contributions. By the time I discovered the fraud, it was too late. The patent had been approved, Jessica's name was on it, and trying to remove her would have meant invalidating the entire patent and starting over. But this time, I'd forced the patent office's hand. I'd made them do their job, and their job was to verify that every person listed as an inventor had actually contributed to the invention. Ms. Chen, Patricia says carefully, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I need you to answer honestly. Did you contribute to the conception or reduction to practice of any element of the neural interface technology described in this patent application? The room is absolutely silent. I can hear Marcus breathing beside Jessica, fast and shallow. I can hear the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. I can hear my own heartbeat, steady and calm. Jessica looks at Marcus. He can't meet her eyes. She looks at me. I smile just a little. No, she whispers. No, I didn't. Patricia nods slowly. She makes a note on her pad. Thank you for your honesty. I'm going to recommend that your petition to be added as a co-inventor be denied. Furthermore, I'm flagging this case for investigation of potential fraud. Knowingly making false statements to the patent office is a federal crime, Ms. Chen. Jessica makes a sound like she's been punched. Marcus finally finds his voice. Now wait, just a minute. Mr. Winters, unless you have documentation of your wife's contributions to provide, I suggest you let her speak for herself. This is ridiculous. Emma obviously put you up to this. She's been trying to cut Jessica out from the beginning. Actually, I say quietly, I didn't put anyone up to anything. The patent office has standard procedures for verifying inventorship. This is how the system is supposed to work. You know what Jessica contributed. You were there. I was there, and I know exactly what Jessica contributed. Nothing. I turn to Patricia. For the record, I have never claimed that Jessica contributed to this invention. In fact, I explicitly refused to list her as a co-inventor when my family pressured me to do so. I filed the application with only my name because I was the only inventor. Jessica's petition is fraudulent, and she knows it. Patricia makes another note. Ms. Winters, do you have any evidence that contradicts this? I pull out my phone and open a recording app. Actually, I have evidence that supports it. I hit play. My mother's voice fills the conference room. Jessica has been such a support to you during your research. She's always asking about your work, trying to understand. Actually, she hasn't. We've barely discussed my research. Don't be difficult, Emma, you know what I mean? She's been emotionally supportive. Family is important. And now that you're about to file this patent, we think Jessica should be listed as a co-inventor. It's only fair. Marcus lunges for my phone. The security guard, the same one from that night at my lab, steps forward. Marcus freezes. I let the recording play out, the whole conversation, including the part where my mother admits that Jessica hasn't actually contributed anything technical, where Marcus explicitly says they think I can afford to share the credit, where I refuse and they threaten me. When it ends, Patricia sits back in her chair. Well, she says, that's certainly illuminating. Jessica is crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. Marcus looks like he wants to strangle me. You recorded us, he says, his voice shaking with rage. You recorded a private conversation in my own home where I had every right to record. And it's a good thing I did, considering your wife then tried to commit patent fraud. This is entrapment. This is evidence. There's a difference. Patricia clears her throat. I think we're done here. Ms. Chen, your petition is denied. Ms. Winters, expect to receive formal notification of the denial within 10 business days. Additionally, this matter is being referred to our Office of Enforcement for investigation. You may want to consult with an attorney. This isn't over, Jessica hisses at me. You think you can just destroy our lives? You tried to destroy mine, I say calmly. You just failed this time. They leave, Marcus practically dragging Jessica from the room. I can hear her sobbing in the hallway. I feel nothing. Or rather, I feel the absence of the crushing betrayal I felt the first time through. The wound has already healed. This is just cauterizing it. Patricia packs up her files. Off the record, Ms. Winters, I've been doing this job for 30 years. I've seen a lot of inventorship disputes. Most of them are messy divorces or business partner fallouts. Family disputes are the worst. Is that what this was? A family dispute? She looks at me over her glasses. You tell me. It was attempted theft. The fact that they're related to me is incidental. She nods slowly. For what it's worth, your documentation was exemplary. I've never seen such thorough record-keeping from a graduate student. It's almost like you knew you'd need to prove everything. I'm just detail-oriented. She doesn't believe me, but she doesn't push. Your patent should be approved within 6 months. It's solid work, Ms. Winters. You should be proud. Thank you. She leaves. I sit in the empty conference room for a moment, letting the reality of it settle over me. It's done. Jessica's fraud has been exposed. My patent will be approved with my name alone. The invention is mine. I pull out my phone and check my messages. There are 17 from my mother, ranging from pleading to furious. 3 from Marcus, all threats. None of them matter. There's 1 from Dr. Chen, my advisor. Heard it went well. Congratulations. Let's discuss licensing strategy next week. And 1 from David Reeves, the venture capitalist who'd tried to buy the technology from Jessica in the first timeline before she'd gotten me killed trying to silence me. This time, I'd approached him first, 6 months ago, with a different pitch. An exclusive licensing deal that would maintain my control while providing capital for development. His message reads, "Board approved the deal, 51 amounts of Series A. Let's celebrate." I smile. The thing about getting a second chance at life is that you learn what really matters. Not family loyalty to people who see you as a resource to exploit. Not keeping the peace at the cost of your integrity. Not being nice when being smart will save your life. What matters is the work. The neural interface technology that will help thousands of paralyzed patients regain mobility. The innovation that will change lives. And that's mine. Wholly, undeniably, legally mine. I gather my things and leave the patent office. Outside, the Seattle sky is overcast, threatening rain. I pull my jacket tighter and start walking toward the parking garage. Marcus is waiting by my car. Of course he is. Emma. His voice is calmer now, but I can see the anger simmering beneath the surface. We need to talk. No, we don't. You've humiliated Jessica, destroyed her reputation. Our mother won't even speak to us. That sounds like a problem Jessica created for herself. She's my wife. And I'm your sister, or I was, until you decided I was just an ATM machine you could force to share the PIN. He moves between me and my car door. You think you're so smart. You think you've won. But you don't understand what you've done. Jessica is talking to lawyers. She's going to sue you for defamation, for what? Telling the truth? I'm not afraid of him anymore. I died once. What's the worst he can do? Let her sue. I have documentation of everything. Recordings, emails, witnesses. She committed fraud, Marcus. Attempted patent fraud is a federal crime. If she's talking to lawyers, she should be talking to criminal defense attorneys. You're going to send her to prison? I'm going to let the legal system do its job, just like the patent said system did. He grabs my arm. His grip is tight, painful, as you're destroying our family. I look down at his hand on my arm, then up at his face. You destroyed our family when you decided my work was community property. Now let go of me. Or what? I don't have to answer. A voice calls out across the parking garage. Is there a problem here? David Reeves walks toward us, his expression pleasant, but his posture alert. He's not a large man, but he carries himself with the confidence of someone who's spent decades in Silicon Valley boardrooms. And he's not alone. His head of security, a former Secret Service agent named Sarah Mitchell, is with him. Marcus drops my arm immediately. No problem, he mutters. Just a family discussion. Didn't look like a discussion, David says mildly. Looked like assault. It's fine, I say. Marcus was just leaving. My brother looks between me and David, his expression cycling through confusion, rage, and finally calculation. You're the VC, he says slowly. The one who's buying Emma's patent. Licensing, David corrects. Ms. Winters retains ownership. We're just providing capital and infrastructure for development. How much? That's confidential. Millions? David smiles. Ms. Winters is going to be very successful. Her technology is revolutionary. We're lucky she chose to work with us. I watch the realization dawn on Marcus's face. In his mind, he's calculating the money he could have had if I'd just played along. If I'd listed Jessica as co-inventor, if I'd rolled over and let them steal my work, you could have shared this, he says quietly. We're your family. We could have been part of this. You were invited to be part of my life, I say. You chose to try to steal from me instead. That's not. He stops. What can he say? We both know what he tried to do. He leaves without another word, shoulders hunched, defeated. David watches him go. That was your brother? Biologically? Ah. He doesn't ask for details. You ready for that celebration dinner? Sarah can drive your car to the restaurant if you want to ride with me. That sounds perfect. The dinner is at a high-end seafood place overlooking Elliott Bay. David's brought 3 of his partners, the ones who will be on the board of the company we're founding to develop the neural interface technology. They toast my success. They talk about market strategy, about regulatory pathways, about the clinical trials we'll need to run. They treat me like a peer, like someone whose expertise is valued and whose vision matters. This is what Jessica was supposed to have in the first timeline. The praise, the attention, the respect. She'd positioned herself as the inventor, the innovator, while I did the actual work in the background. Now it's mine, all of it. But as the dinner winds down, as David's partners head home and I'm left with just him and Sarah, I feel the weight of the day settling on my shoulders. You okay? David asks. Yeah, it's been a long road. I bet. He swirls his whiskey. Can I ask you something? Off the record? Sure. That documentation you had, the lab notebooks, the recordings, the meticulous records, that's not normal for a grad student. Most researchers I work with can barely remember what they did last week, let alone produce 18 months of dated, witnessed, time-stamped documentation. I meet his eyes. He's sharp. He didn't build a billion-dollar investment firm by missing details. Let's just say I learned early on to protect my work. From your family? From everyone. He nods slowly. Smart. Paranoid, but smart. There's a saying, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. True. He sets down his glass. For what it's worth, I did my due diligence on you. Talked to your advisors, your colleagues, people who've worked with you. Everyone says the same thing. You're brilliant, you're dedicated, and you're honest to a fault. Those are rare qualities, Emma. Don't let what happened with your family make you think otherwise. Something tight in my chest loosens slightly. Thank you. Now, he pulls out a tablet. Let's talk about the company structure. I'm thinking you as CTO and chief scientist, me as CEO until we can hire someone with more operational experience. You'll have majority voting control on all technical decisions and a seat on the board. Sound good? We spend the next hour hammering out details. By the time I get home to a new apartment in a building with better security, it's past midnight. My phone has 43 messages now. I delete them without reading them. Instead, I open my laptop and check on the progress of my latest project, a second-generation neural interface with improved bandwidth and lower latency. It's been running simulations all day. The results look promising. This is what I lived for the first time through, the work, the discovery, the chance to make a difference. I just didn't realize I'd have to die to learn how to protect it. My phone buzzes, a new message from an unknown number. I know what you did. My heart rate spikes. I stare at the message, waiting for more. You think you're so clever, but I know. I've known for a while. Another message. We should talk. I'm reaching for my phone to block the number when a third message comes through. This one is a photo. It's me, sitting in a coffee shop near campus 3 years ago. I remember that day. It was a week before I died. I'd been working on a laptop, preparing my documentation for the lawyer meeting I never made it to. Someone was watching me, someone took this photo, and they're still watching. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Pike Place Market. Come alone or everyone learns your secret. My hands are shaking. This wasn't supposed to happen. I was prepared for Jessica, for Marcus, for the patent office. I wasn't prepared for someone else to know about the rebirth, because that's what they mean, isn't it? I know what you did. They know I came back. But how? How could anyone know? I spend the night unable to sleep, running through possibilities. Could someone else have been reborn too? Could I have left some trace, some evidence of future knowledge? Could it be a lucky guess, someone who noticed my unusual preparation and made a wild inference? By morning, I'm exhausted and paranoid. I consider not going to the meeting, but if someone knows, if someone has evidence, I need to find out what they want. I arrive at Pike Place Market at 1:45. It's crowded. Tourists and locals mixing in the chaos of the historic market. Vendors hawking fresh fish and flowers, street musicians competing for attention. I position myself near the bronze pig statue, the famous Rachel pig, where I have clear sightlines in all directions. My phone is in my hand, Sarah Mitchell's number on speed dial. David offered her as personal security after the incident with Marcus. I turned him down then. Now I wish I'd accepted. At exactly 2 p.m., someone sits down next to me on the low wall. She's young, younger than me, with dyed purple hair and multiple piercings. She looks like a college student, but her eyes are too old, too knowing. Emma Winters, she says. You're a hard person to track down. Who are you? My name is Zoe Park, and before you ask, yes, I'm like you. The world tilts. What? I died. I came back. March 15th, 2019. I was hit by a drunk driver, woke up 5 years earlier. She says it casually, like she's discussing the weather. Took me a while to figure out what happened. Took me even longer to find out I wasn't the only one. How many? Of us, that I know of, 12. There might be more. She pulls out her phone and shows me a photo. It's a private forum, hidden on the dark web. The header reads, The Second Chance Club. We've been watching you, Zoe continues. You're good. Really good. Most people who come back, they make mistakes. They change too much, or they get cocky, or they try to fix everything. You were subtle. You just focused on the one thing you needed to protect. Why are you telling me this? Because you proved something. That you can actually change your fate. Most of us, we come back and we realize the same patterns repeat. The same people hurt us in different ways. The same tragedies find us. But you identified the threat and you neutralized it perfectly, legally. No one can touch you now. What do you want? She leans in closer. I want to know how you did it. And I want to help you do it again. Again? Emma. Her voice drops. You stopped Jessica. You stopped Marcus. But you didn't stop the person who actually killed you. Cold runs down my spine. What are you talking about? The car accident. You thought it was Jessica who arranged it, right? Or Marcus? But you never found proof. You never figured out who actually cut your brake lines. My brakes were sabotaged. It wasn't an accident. And it wasn't your family. She pulls out a tablet and opens a file. It was him. The photo on the screen shows a man I don't recognize. Middle-aged, expensive suit, cold eyes. Richard Mercer. He was VP of Research at Neurodyne Technologies. Your rival company. The one that was developing similar neural interface tech. The one that would have lost billions if your patent had been approved. I stare at the photo. I don't know him. You wouldn't. He worked through intermediates. But I've had 5 years to dig into this, and I found the money trail. Neurodyne paid a consultant $500,000 2 days before your accident. That consultant used to be a military mechanic. Specializes in making sabotage look like mechanical failure. Why would Neurodyne kill me? They could have just waited for the patent battle to play out. Because Jessica was shopping your technology to them, but she wanted too much money, and she wouldn't budge on the terms. So Mercer decided to eliminate you, wait for Jessica to inherit your work as next of kin, and then negotiate with her from a position of strength. A grieving widow would have been much easier to pressure. The pieces click into place. Jessica meeting with Neurodyne. Jessica's increasingly desperate attempts to get control of my patent, the accident that came just when I was about to expose her. I was so focused on the betrayal from my family that I missed the bigger threat. If you're telling me this, I'll bite slowly. What do you want in return? Zoe smiles. Like I said, I want to learn from you. You're the first person I've found who actually succeeded at protecting yourself the second time around. I want to know your methods, and in return, I'll help you finish what you started. Which is making sure Richard Mercer pays for what he did, and making sure Neurodyne never threatens you again. I should walk away. I should ignore this strange woman with her wild claims and her secret forums. I should focus on my success, on my company, on developing the technology that will change the world. But the part of me that died on a rainy road, the part that knows what betrayal tastes like, the part that spent 5 years planning revenge, that part wants more. Tell me what you have in mind, I say. Over the next 3 months, Zoe and I work together. She's brilliant, a software engineer in her first life, a data analyst in her second. She knows how to find information that people want hidden. And she's motivated. In her first life, she was murdered by her abusive boyfriend. In her second life, she's been methodically destroying his reputation, his career, his entire social network, all while staying completely untraceable. Revenge is an art form, she tells me one night, as we sit in my apartment going through financial records. It's not about passion. It's about precision. We start by establishing Neurodyne's pattern of corporate espionage. They've been stealing technology from competitors for years, but they're good at hiding it. We trace Buzz's shell companies, offshore accounts, encrypted communications. We find 3 other researchers whose work was stolen. 2 of them died in accidents, similar to mine. The third disappeared entirely. This is bigger than just you, Zoe says. Mercer has been doing this for a decade. He's a serial killer, essentially. He just kills ideas and the people who have them. We compile evidence. We're meticulous, creating the same kind of unassailable documentation that protected me from Jessica. Bank records, email trails, testimony from the consultant who sabotaged my breaks. Zoe finds him in prison on an unrelated charge and convinces him to talk in exchange for help with his appeal. And then we wait. My patent is approved in month 4. The company David and I founded, Neural Bridge Technologies, raises its Series A funding. We begin clinical trials. The media starts paying attention, and Neurodyne starts circling. They approach us with a buyout offer. It's generous, $300 million, with me staying on as chief scientist. David brings me the offer with a skeptical expression. Something feels off, he says. This is too much money, too fast. They barely let us negotiate. They're desperate, I say. They know our technology is better than theirs. If we succeed, they're finished. So we turn them down? We negotiate, string them along, make them think we might sell. Over the next 2 months, we engage in talks with Neurodyne. I meet with their team, including Richard Mercer. He's smooth, charming, the kind of man who makes you feel like you're the most important person in the room. He has no idea who I am, or rather, who I was. During one meeting, he asks me about my research history. Your work is impressive, Ms. Winters. Such thorough documentation. Did you study patent law? I'm just detail-oriented, I say, echoing what I told Patricia Holbrook. It's almost like you knew you'd need to prove everything. The same observation David made. But from Mercer's mouth, it sounds like a threat. He knows, or suspects. Not about the rebirth, that would be impossible. But he knows I'm not the naive graduate student I appear to be. I've learned that in this industry, you need to protect your work, I say carefully. From theft? From anyone who might want to claim credit they haven't earned. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Very wise. The negotiations continue. And while they do, Zoe and I put our plan into motion. We leak our evidence to the FBI's white-collar crime division. Not all at once. That would be suspicious. Instead, we create a trail of breadcrumbs, anonymous tips that lead investigators from one piece of evidence to the next. We leak information to the SEC about Neurodyne's fraudulent accounting practices, the way they've been capitalizing stolen technology without disclosing the theft. We reach out to the families of the researchers who died, providing them with evidence that their loved ones were murdered, along with contact information for attorneys who specialize in wrongful death cases. And we wait. The federal investigation begins quietly. Mercer doesn't notice at first. He's too focused on acquiring neural bridge technologies. But as the investigation deepens, as the FBI starts interviewing former employees and examining financial records, he begins to realize something is wrong. By month 6, Neurodyne's stock is dropping. Rumors of federal investigations are circulating. Major investors are pulling out. By month 7, Mercer is fired. The board claims they knew nothing about his activities, that he was a rogue actor. It's a lie, but it's enough to distance the company from the worst of the scandal. By month 8, Mercer is arrested. I watch the news coverage with Zoe, both of us sitting on my couch, a bottle of wine between us. Federal prosecutors have charged Richard Mercer, former VP of Research at Neurodyne Technologies, with multiple counts of corporate espionage, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit murder, the anchor says. The charges stem from allegations that Mercer orchestrated a decade-long scheme to steal proprietary technology from competitors, allegedly resulting in the deaths of at least 3 researchers. They show his perp walk. He looks smaller in handcuffs, diminished. His expensive suit can't hide the fear in his eyes. "To your success," Zoe says, raising her glass. "To justice," I correct. We drink. Later, after Zoe has gone home, I sit alone in my apartment. The neural interface prototype sits on my desk. The second-generation version, even more advanced than the original. Clinical trials are showing a 94% success rate in restoring mobility to paralyzed patients. This is what I came back for. This is what I protected. But I can't shake the feeling that something is still incomplete. My phone rings. David. "Have you seen the news about Neurodyne?" "Yeah. Their stock is in free fall. The company is basically dead. And I just got a call from their interim CEO. They're liquidating assets, including their neural interface patents." "How much?" $80 million for the whole portfolio. It's a fire sale." I do the math in my head. With the patents, Neural Bridge Technologies would have a complete monopoly on neural interface technology. No competitors, no threats. "Buy them," I say. "Emma, buy them, whatever it takes." There's a pause. "This is personal for you, isn't it, Neurodyne? This isn't just business." "It's both." "Want to tell me about it?" "No." Another pause. Then "Okay, I'll make the offer." We acquire Neurodyne's patent portfolio for $75 million. The deal closes in 3 weeks. Neural Bridge Technologies is now the undisputed leader in neural interface technology. I own 45% of the company. My share is worth approximately $400 million on paper, though it will be worth much more once we complete the clinical trials and get FDA approval. I've gone from a grad student barely scraping by on a stipend to a multi-millionaire in less than 2 years. And I did it all legally, no fraud, no theft, just good documentation, careful planning, and a willingness to fight for what was mine. My mother reaches out to me for the first time in 8 months. She wants to have coffee. I meet her at a Starbucks near her house. She looks older than I remember, worn down. Her hands shake slightly as she stirs sugar into her latte. "I saw the news," she says, "about your company, about the patent deal." "Did you?" "Emma, I want to apologize for how things went with Jessica. I didn't understand what she was asking you to do. I thought it was just about sharing credit, about being generous. I didn't realize it was fraud." "Yes, you did." She flinches. "What?" "You knew it was fraud, Mom. You might not have known the legal terminology, but you knew Jessica hadn't contributed to the invention. You just didn't care. You wanted her to have access to my work because it would benefit the family, benefit Marcus, benefit you by extension. That's not fair, isn't it? When was the last time you asked about my research because you were actually interested in the science? When was the last time you acknowledged an accomplishment of mine without immediately talking about Marcus?" She's quiet for a long moment. "I've always been harder on you than on your brother. I know that. You were always so independent, so capable. You didn't seem to need me the way Marcus did. So you decided I didn't deserve your support?" I thought you were strong enough to succeed without it. I am. But that doesn't mean I should have had to. She reaches across the table, trying to take my hand. I pull back. Emma, please, you're my daughter. Can't we move past this? I don't know, can we? Because moving past this isn't the same as you actually changing. Are you going to acknowledge that Jessica committed fraud? Are you going to accept that Marcus helped her? Are you going to admit that you prioritized their comfort over my integrity? They're struggling, Emma. The legal fees from the patent office investigation, Jessica's reputation in the industry, they've lost everything. They tried to steal everything from me first. Can't you help them? You have so much now. Surely you could. I stand up. That's what I thought. You haven't learned anything. You still think my success is a family resource to be distributed as you see fit. Where are you going? Away from you. Again. I leave her sitting there. It should hurt more than it does. But I've already mourned this relationship once, in another timeline. This is just the burial. Marcus shows up at my office 2 weeks later. Security calls me before letting him up. I almost tell them to turn him away, but something makes me reconsider. Maybe I want closure. Maybe I want him to see what he cost himself. He looks terrible. Thinner, with dark circles under his eyes. His suit is rumpled, his hair uncombed. Emma, his voice cracks. Thank you for seeing me. I gesture to the chair across from my desk. He sits. Jessica left me, he says abruptly. After the patent office investigation, after her reputation was destroyed, she blamed me. Said I'd ruined her life by pushing her to go after your patent. She filed for divorce last month. I'm sorry. I'm not really, but it seems like the thing to say. No, you're not, and I don't blame you. He laughs bitterly. I've had a lot of time to think these past few months. About what I did, what I asked you to do, and I've realized something. What's that? I was jealous. Of you. Your whole life, you've been smarter than me, more driven, more successful. Mom always said I was the charming one, the people person, but we both knew the truth. You were the one with real talent. And when you developed that neural interface, when you were about to become successful beyond anything I could achieve, I wanted to take it from you. That's honest. It's pathetic. He rubs his face. I destroyed my marriage. I destroyed my relationship with you. I destroyed my relationship with Mom. She won't talk to me because I embarrassed the family. All because I couldn't handle the fact that my little sister was more successful than me. I wait. There has to be more. I'm not here to ask for money, he says. Or forgiveness. I know I don't deserve either. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. What I did was wrong. What I tried to make you do was wrong. And I'm sorry. It's a good apology. It acknowledges the harm, takes responsibility, doesn't make excuses. But it doesn't change what he did. It doesn't erase the fact that he tried to destroy my life's work for his own gain. I appreciate you saying that, I say carefully, but I don't think we can have a relationship anymore, Marcus. You violated my trust in a fundamental way. And even now, even with this apology, I don't know if you're sorry you did it or just sorry you got caught. He nods slowly. That's fair. I just wanted you to know. He stands. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. What you've accomplished. The people you're going to help with that technology. It's incredible. Thank you. He leaves. I watch him walk to the elevator, shoulders slumped, defeated. I feel something then, not quite forgiveness, but maybe the beginning of letting go. He made his choices. I made mine. We both have to live with the consequences. The next day, I get a call from an unlisted number. Ms. Winters, this is Special Agent Jennifer Torres with the FBI. I'm calling about the Richard Mercer case. My heart rate spikes. How can I help you? We've been reviewing evidence related to the investigation. Some of it was provided anonymously through tips to our office. The information was incredibly detailed. Financial records, testimony from witnesses, analysis of Mr. Mercer's communications. It's almost like someone had been investigating him independently. I see. I'm calling because Mr. Mercer has claimed that you were behind the investigation, that you orchestrated it as revenge for something he did to you. Is there any truth to that? I choose my words carefully. Special Agent Torres, I've never met Richard Mercer before the Neurodyne acquisition negotiations began. I had no idea who he was or what he'd done until your investigation became public. If he's claiming I personally investigated him, he's mistaken. It's technically true. I never investigated Mercer. Zoe did. But you were aware that Neurodyne had engaged in corporate espionage? I was aware that they approached us with a buyout offer that seemed suspiciously generous. I asked my business partner to do due diligence on their company. What he found, we reported to the appropriate authorities. Also technically true. David did do due diligence, though most of what he found came from information Zoe and I fed him. I see. Agent Torres sounds skeptical. Well, regardless of how we got the information, it's led to multiple indictments. Mercer is facing serious time. 30 years, minimum. Possibly more if we can prove the murder charges. That's good to hear. Ms. Winters, one more question. Are you aware of any other individuals who might have been investigating Mercer? Anyone who might have had access to the kind of detailed financial and communications data we received? No, but I imagine someone at Neurodyne must have turned whistleblower. There's usually at least one person with a conscience, even in corrupt organizations. Well, if you think of anything, please let me know. She hangs up. I immediately call Zoe. The FBI is sniffing around, I tell her. They know someone was investigating Mercer independently. Did you tell them anything? No, but they're not stupid. If they start looking into my background, into my connections, they won't find anything. I covered our tracks. Everything we did was anonymous, routed through VPNs and encrypted channels. There's no trail leading back to either of us. You're sure? Emma, I've been doing this for 5 years. I'm very good at not leaving traces. I want to believe her, but the thing about being reborn is that you learn nothing is certain. You learn that plans can fail, that people can betray you, that careful preparation isn't always enough. If they do find something, I say, if there's any possibility of legal trouble, there won't be, trust me. But I'm not sure I can trust anyone anymore. Not completely. Still, the FBI investigation doesn't circle back to me. Mercer goes to trial, is convicted on all counts. He's sentenced to 40 years in federal prison. Neural Bridge Technologies completes its clinical trials. FDA approval comes through. Our first-generation neural interface hits the market. The first patient to receive it is a woman named Sarah Chen, no relation to my advisor. She's 34, paralyzed from the neck down after a car accident 5 years ago. I'm there in the operating room when the surgeons implant the interface, connecting the electrodes to her motor cortex. 3 days later, she moves her right hand for the first time in 5 years. She cries. Her family cries. I cry, standing in the corner of the room, watching the culmination of a decade of work. 2 decades, if you count both timelines. This is what it was all for, not the money, not the revenge. This moment, watching someone regain what they thought they'd lost forever. 6 months later, Neural Bridge Technologies goes public. The IPO values the company at $8 billion. My shares are worth $3.6 billion. I'm 28 years old and I'm a billionaire. The media wants interviews. Forbes puts me on their cover. TED invites me to speak. Venture capitalists and entrepreneurs want to meet with me, to learn from me, to partner with me. I turn down most of it. I'm not interested in being a celebrity. I'm interested in the work. But I do accept one speaking invitation, my university's graduate school commencement. I stand at the podium, looking out at the sea of doctoral candidates in their regalia, and I think about what I want to tell them. I think about Jessica, about Marcus, about Richard Mercer, about all the people who tried to take what I'd built, what I'd discovered, what I'd earned. I think about dying on a rainy road, about waking up 5 years in the past. about the second chance I was given, and I think about what I learned. When I was where you are now, I begin, I believed that good work would speak for itself, that if I made something valuable, something important, people would respect that, would respect me. I was wrong. The world is full of people who will try to take credit for your work. Family members who see you as a resource, colleagues who want to ride your coattails, companies that will steal your ideas if you're not careful. But here's what I learned. You don't have to let them. Document everything. Protect your work. Know your rights. Don't let anyone, not family, not friends, not authority figures, convince you to give away what you've earned. And if someone tries to take it anyway, fight back. Legally, methodically, ruthlessly. Because here's the truth. Your work matters. Your discoveries matter. The things you will create will change lives. Don't let anyone diminish that. Don't let anyone steal it. You are not required to be nice to people who want to harm you. You are not required to share credit with people who did none of the work. You are not required to forgive people who've betrayed you. What you are required to do is protect what you've built, defend what you've discovered, and never, ever apologize for standing up for yourself. The audience is silent. I can see some of the faculty shifting uncomfortably. This isn't the usual inspirational pablum about following your dreams and believing in yourself, but the students are listening, really listening. The people who try to take your work will tell you that you're being selfish, I continue, that you're greedy, that you're betraying them by not sharing. Don't believe it. Protecting what's yours isn't selfish, it's survival. And if you do it right, if you're smart and careful and thoroughly prepared, you won't just survive, you'll thrive. Thank you and congratulations. I step away from the podium. The applause starts slowly, then builds. By the time I'm off the stage, it's thunderous. Afterwards, dozens of students line up to talk to me. They want advice. They want to tell me their stories about advisors who tried to steal their dissertations, about family members who don't respect their work, about companies that offered them jobs and then tried to force them to sign away their IP rights. I listen to all of them. I give them the contact information for patent attorneys I trust. I tell them about resources for protecting their work. I share my own experiences, edited, of course, to leave out the parts about Rebirth. One student, a young woman working on AI ethics, pulls me aside. "Thank you," she says quietly. "My mother has been pressuring me to add my sister to my dissertation. She says it's not fair that I'm getting a PhD and my sister isn't, like it's something I should share. And I've been feeling so guilty, but after hearing you speak, don't add her," I say firmly. "Your dissertation is your work, your accomplishment. If your mother can't understand that, that's her problem, not yours." She nods, tears in her eyes. "I needed to hear that. You're going to face a lot of pressure in your life to give things away that you've earned. Don't do it. The people who really care about you won't ask you to." She hugs me. I'm not usually a hugger, but I let her. That night, I have dinner with Zoe and David. It's become a regular thing, the three of us meeting once a month to catch up, to strategize, to celebrate victories. "Saw your speech," Zoe says. "Very fire and brimstone. The faculty must have loved it." "They looked uncomfortable." "Good, they should be. The whole academic system is built on stealing credit from grad students and postdocs." David laughs. "You two are cynics." "We're realists," I correct. There's a difference." "Fair enough." He raises his glass. "To realism and to Emma, who just made us all even richer with that IPO." We drink. The wine is expensive, a $500 bottle that David insisted on ordering. I can afford it now. I can afford anything. But I don't feel that different from the grad student I was. Or rather, the grad student I am in this timeline. The one who hasn't died yet. The one who still believes the world can be fair if you work hard enough. I know better now. The world isn't fair, but you can make it fair if you're smart enough and ruthless enough and willing to fight. "What's next for you?" David asks. "You've achieved everything you set out to do. Billion-dollar company, revolutionary technology, your enemies destroyed. Most people would retire. I'm 28. You're a 28-year-old billionaire. You could retire." I don't want to retire. I want to keep working. The first gen interface is good, but it can be better. Lower latency, higher bandwidth, better integration with the nervous system. And that's just neural interfaces. There are other applications for the underlying technology. Of course there are. He's smiling. I should have known. You're not in this for the money. The money is nice, but it's not the point. What is the point? I think about Sarah Chen, moving her hand for the first time in 5 years. I think about the clinical trials, the dozens of patients who've regained mobility. I think about the letters I've received from families thanking me for giving them their loved ones back. Making a difference, I say. That's the point. Zoe snorts. You're such an idealist. I'm a realist who wants to make things better. There's a difference. Is there? I think so. Later, after they've gone home, I sit on my apartment balcony, a penthouse now with a view of the city, and think about the road that brought me here. 2 timelines, 2 versions of the same events. In one, I trusted the wrong people and died for it. In the other, I protected myself and thrived. The difference wasn't luck, it was choice. The choice to document everything, to fight back, to refuse to be a victim, and the knowledge of what was coming. I wonder sometimes if I should feel guilty about having that knowledge, about using information from my first life to succeed in my second. But then I remember that I earned that knowledge the hard way, by dying for it. This is my second chance. I'm not going to waste it feeling guilty for using every advantage I have. My phone buzzes, a message from an unknown number. Congratulations on the IPO, you've done well. It's from Zoe, but not from her regular number. From one of her burner phones, the ones she uses for her darker work. I type back, thank you, how are your projects going? Almost finished. He's losing everything, just like I lost everything. Seems fair. She's talking about her ex-boyfriend, the one who killed her. She's been systematically destroying his life for years, getting him fired from jobs, sabotaging his relationships, even getting him arrested for crimes he actually committed but would have gotten away with otherwise. Is it enough? I ask. Will you ever feel like it's enough? The reply takes a while to come. I don't know. Maybe not. But it's better than doing nothing. I can't argue with that. Doing something is always better than doing nothing, even if that something is revenge. Be careful, I type. Don't let it consume you. Too late for that. But I appreciate the concern. I set down my phone and look out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Jessica is probably living in a small apartment, working a job she hates, her reputation in ruins. Marcus is divorced and estranged from our mother. Richard Mercer is in a federal prison cell. And I'm here, in a penthouse, a billionaire, the founder of a company that's changing lives. Karma exists. Sometimes it just needs help. A year passes, then another. Neural Bridge Technologies continues to grow. We launch the 2nd generation interface, then the 3rd. Each iteration is better than the last, more precise, more reliable, more accessible. We expand beyond paralysis treatment. The technology can help with Parkinson's disease, with chronic pain, with phantom limb syndrome. We're in clinical trials for treating depression and PTSD. Every success, every patient helped, feels like vindication. I'm 30 years old when I get the call from the Nobel Committee. They're awarding me the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for my work on neural interface technology. I stand in Stockholm 6 months later, wearing a formal gown that cost more than my first car, accepting the award from the King of Sweden. My mother is in the audience. I'd sent her an invitation. I'm not sure why. Maybe because despite everything, despite all the hurt and betrayal, some part of me still wants her to be proud of me. She's crying. I can see her from the stage, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. I wonder if she understands now, if she realizes what she tried to take from me, if she recognizes that the success she's witnessing was almost stolen by her own daughter-in-law with her blessing. After the ceremony, she tries to approach me at the reception. Security stops her. I'd made sure to put her on a list of people who needed explicit permission to access me at events. I watch her argue with the security guard for a moment, then signal that she can come through. Emma, Her voice is thick with emotion. Congratulations. This is incredible. Thank you. I just want you to know I'm so proud of you. I always knew you were brilliant, but this, Mom, I cut her off. Do you remember what you said to me when I refused to add Jessica to my patent? She blinks. You said family is all you have in this world, that I was going to regret throwing it away out of pride. I was wrong. You were, because I didn't throw away family. You did. You chose Jessica over me. You chose Marcus over me. You chose what you thought you could get from my work over having a daughter. That's not fair. Isn't it? You're here now at this ceremony crying and proud. But where were you when I was filing the patent alone? Where were you when Jessica tried to destroy my career? Where were you when I needed someone to believe in me? She's silent. You're proud of me now because I succeeded in spite of you, I continue. Because I won without your help, but that doesn't erase the fact that you tried to sabotage me. I never tried to, you did, maybe not intentionally. Maybe you really believed that adding Jessica to my patent was fair, but the effect was the same. You valued her potential benefit over my integrity. I'm sorry. She's crying harder now. I'm so sorry, Emma. I've been a terrible mother. I know that. I just want a chance to fix it. I look at her, really look at her. She's aged badly in the past 4 years. The stress of Marcus's divorce, of Jessica's scandal, of estrangement from me has taken its toll. She looks small and fragile, nothing like the formidable woman who raised me. Part of me wants to comfort her, to forgive her, to rebuild some kind of relationship. But the part of me that died on a rainy road, the part that knows what her choices cost me, can't do it. I don't know if that's possible, I say quietly. The trust is gone, Mom. You showed me who you are when things got difficult, and I can't forget that. But maybe someday, but not today. I have a celebration to get to. I walk away. I don't look back. David finds me later, standing on a balcony overlooking Stockholm's nightlights. You okay? I will be. Saw your mom. That looked rough. It was necessary. He nods. You know, when I first met you, I thought you were one of the most driven people I'd ever encountered. Now I realize you're also one of the strongest. I don't feel strong. I feel tired. That's what strength is sometimes. Being tired and doing what needs to be done anyway. We stand in silence for a while, watching the city. What's next for you? He asks eventually. Another Nobel Prize? I laugh. Maybe, or maybe I'll just keep working. Keep improving the technology. Keep helping people. That's it? No grand ambitions? No plans for world domination? I dominated my world already. Defeated everyone who tried to stop me. Now I just want to do good work. That's the most Emma thing I've ever heard. I smile. I'll take that as a compliment. Later that night, alone in my hotel room, I pull out my old lab notebooks from grad school. I've kept them all, every page documenting my journey from concept to breakthrough. I flip through them, reading my younger self's notes, seeing the progression of ideas that eventually became the neural interface technology. On one page, dated 3 days before my brother and mother tried to force me to add Jessica to the patent, there's a note I'd written to myself. Remember, your work is yours, no one else's. Protect it. That note saved my life. Or rather, it saved my second life. I think about the alternate timeline, the one where I died. I think about that version of me, naive and trusting, who never saw the betrayal coming until it was too late. I'm sorry I couldn't save her, but at least I honored her. I made sure her work, our work, mattered. I made sure the people who wronged her faced consequences. And I made sure that in this timeline, we survived. My phone buzzes, a message from Zoe. Saw the news about the Nobel, proud of you. I smile and type back. Thanks, couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have, but I'm glad I could help anyway. Drinks when you're back in Seattle? Absolutely. I set down the phone and look out at Stockholm, at the Nobel medal sitting on the hotel dresser, at the life I've built from the ashes of my death. This is success. Not just the money or the recognition or the revenge. Success is surviving. Success is protecting what's yours. Success is refusing to be a victim. Success is living when everyone tried to kill you. I raise my glass, champagne from the reception, to the window, to the city, to the version of me who died and gave me the knowledge to survive. We made it, I whisper. We finally made it. And somewhere in another timeline or another dimension or just in my memory, I like to think she hears me. I like to think she's proud. The end.